Hey everybody, and welcome to my very first ever LEGO Nexo Knights review here on my channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at Clay's Rumble Blade. This set comes with 367 pieces and is recommended for ages 8 to 14. And we're going to start this review by taking a look at the minifigures that are included in this set, starting with Clay. And I think this is a rather cool looking minifigure, and I love the design choice to have a cutout in the middle of Clay's armor to show off the bird that is on his chest print. Clay also comes with some leg and foot printing, and I love the orange detail there on his shoulder pads. I think that's a really good color. I also really like the design of Clay's helmet that he wears, and as we spin the figure around to the back, you can also see that he has a back print, but we're going to be removing his armor to take a little bit of a better look. Removing the helmet and armor of Clay, you can see a rather detailed chest print, and we can also get a good look at the figure's full face. And as we take Clay and spin him around to the side here, you can see he unfortunately doesn't come with any arm printing, but he does have a second facial expression and a rather impressive looking back print. Clay comes with a rather impressive looking sword and shield as accessories, and the plate of the shield can actually be swapped to 3 different powers. This one here is Backlash Lightning, but he also comes with Phoenix Blaze and Slime Blast. The next minifigure we're going to be taking a look at is called the Ash Attacker. And I also think that this is a rather good looking minifigure as well. I love the design of the chest and leg print, and even has some toe printing. And one of the things that I think make this minifigure rather unique is its overall red skin tone. It's a color we typically don't see on LEGO minifigures, and it's nice to see it here. I really like the design and shape of the helmet that this character wears, and he also comes with a rather detailed back print too. One of the things that surprised me about this minifigure is he actually comes with an alternate facial expression, which is interesting because this figure doesn't come with the hairpiece and is expected to wear the helmet. But when the character wears the helmet, I don't really think you can tell what facial expression is being displayed. It is a nice inclusion regardless, and I do appreciate it, and this figure also comes with a sword as an accessory. The next figure we're going to be taking a look at is Scurrier, which has some really unique printed detail on the front of this figure. It kind of looks cartoony to me, but the printing you see on the front of the figure is the only printing that this figure has. Regardless, the printed detail that is on this figure is rather nice, and I do think he looks great overall. And he also comes with this really gigantic sword as an accessory. Lastly, this set comes with 2 Claybots. They are built exactly the same, so I'm only going to be showcasing one right now. But the bird in the middle of the Claybot's chest is a print, which is a nice little detail. And I do like the overall brick-built design of these Claybots. I think it looks rather good. And the helmet worn by the Claybots is very similar in design to Clay, which I think is a nice little detail. The visor of the Claybot can also be lifted up to show off the face underneath. And completely removing the helmet will give us a full look, and it has some rather nice printed detail on a minifigure head. The Claybots also come equipped with swords for weapons. With all the minifigures out of the way, we're finally ready to talk about Clay's Rumble Blade itself, which has a really cool design in my opinion. I love how the base color of this vehicle is gray mixed in with some orange and blue just to give it a little bit of color and really make it more interesting to look at. And if we take a look at the vehicle from a top-down perspective, you can see that it actually uses quite a bit of large stickers for detail. I also really like the design of that orange windshield piece. I think it looks really sleek and sharp and fits into the overall build well. And at the front of the vehicle, you can see that there are 2 little seats for the Claybots. And if we take a look at the Rumble Blade from the side, you can see that this thing really doesn't have a bad angle. And I think the extra detail given to the back wheels there is a really nice design choice. There's not a whole lot going on in the back of the vehicle, but I do think it looks rather nice, and you can see 2 flick-fire missiles as well as some of the thruster detail. The Rumble Blade also comes with 2 clips found on top of the vehicle that you can use to attach Clay's sword and shield. There's also a couple of clips found towards the front of the vehicle that you can use to attach the Claybot swords to. Now, as far as actually operating the Rumble Blade, this vehicle comes with 3 different seats. There is of course the main seat for Clay found at the center of the vehicle, and I do think Clay looks rather cool once you have him seated inside the Rumble Blade. There's also 2 seats found on each side of the front of the Rumble Blade, and they are supposed to be for the Claybots. And I really like the way that this looks once you have all of the figures seated inside of the vehicle. Something really cool about the Rumble Blade is it can actually be broken up into 4 different vehicles. The sword-like part of the vehicle can actually be detached, and it turns into its own really cool ship. And I think this is a really great build in its own respected right. And I just really like the design choice to make this thing in the shape of a sword. It has a really nice, sleek and sharp design, which I think adds to the believability that this thing can actually be a ship. And a detail about this build specifically that I appreciate is if we turn it back to the side here, you can see that it actually comes with 2 little miniguns on ball joints. And while these aren't stud shooters or flick-fire missiles, I do think that they add a lot to the overall build, and they're a nice inclusion. The 2 areas of the vehicle that the Claybots operate can actually be broken off into their own little side carts. And while these aren't the most impressive looking builds, I do think that it is a really nice inclusion for creative play for kids. Lastly, if we take the 2 flick-fire missiles and turn them around on the rest of the build, what we get is a really heavy piece of artillery that Clay and the bots can use to help defend themselves. And again, I just really love how this build can be broken into different parts and vehicles. This build also comes with a really cool detail. If we take the unit and spin it around, you can see that there's actually a sticker on this build that depicts a screen. And Clay and the bots can use this screen to help them hone in on their enemies. Both of the flick-fire missiles on this build are on ball joints, which allows for a wide variety of range of motion and articulation. And of course you can flick the 2 missiles to have them fire away. This set was released January 1st of 2016 and is no longer available in stores. And if you want to buy this set online, you're going to be looking at spending over $100. And while I do thoroughly enjoy this build, I cannot recommend it for that price. But I will say that it was a rather good experience building this Nexo Knights set, and I am disappointed that this theme is discontinued and no longer being made by LEGO. Thank you so much for watching my review, and be sure to like the video and subscribe to my channel for more brick built reviews.